Hey y'all, it's Care and welcome to a new series I'm going to start doing on my channel where I talk all about some of my reading habits. This video is going to be all about how I DNF very infrequently. There were like a million different ways that I could have put that into better words. I know after the first page if I'm gonna be able to finish the book, pretty much, like 90% of the time I would say. So because of that, if I get about halfway through a book sometimes and I'm not feeling it anymore, instead of just trudging on through and just not having a great reading experience, I'll take some notes, put the book down, and just give it a rain check. And I don't know if that's an American expression, but basically it just means that I'll put it down and save it for another day when I feel like reading the book. I've done this to so many books that I ended up loving and enjoying, like for instance A Little Life, which is my all-time favorite. I would read a little bit, put it down for even months at a time, which I do need to go back and just read that in not one sitting but across a week maybe. But I would put it down when I wasn't feeling it and then pick it back up when I was. I did this to Mystic River by Dennis Lehane, Dark Places by Gillian Flynn, Outlander by Diana Gabaldon, like books that I ended up really enjoying and having great reading experiences with. And yes, there have been some that I've gone back and revisited, like Into the Water by Paula Hawkins, that just ended up not being a stellar read for me, but I am glad that I went back and picked up the book in the long run. One quick disclaimer before I get into talking about some of the books I want to talk about today is that I do DNF books, just not that frequently. I totally support not finishing books if it's offensive, but also just if you're not feeling it. Life's too short to be reading books that you don't want to be reading. I completely understand that. This is just something that I've found works for me and I wanted to share it with this community. In this video, I'm going to show you the 5 most recent books that I've put down, but I do want to give a rain check. Like, I'm not giving up on these books. And I want you, if you have read these books or if you have people in your life who have enjoyed these, I want you to try to convince me to pick them up. I just want to feel re-inspired. I am going to have a poll in this video where you can vote if there's one you really want to see me read soon. You can feel free to do that. So let's just get started. The first book is The Clockmakers Daughter by Kate Morton. This is my first attempt at reading anything by Kate Morton, but I know that she has a very loyal fan base. I started this book as a buddy read with my mom. She did finish the book, so hats off to her. I made it to page 34. I still remember where I was. I remember the characters. I just thought the pace was a little slow. The writing is absolutely gorgeous. This plot is pretty interesting. I was just having a little bit of trouble with the shifting timelines. We go back and forth between the present day and the mid 1800s, so it kind of gives it this like historical fiction vibe. But so far it just seems to be the classic case of a woman from the present day trying to solve a mystery from the past. I thrifted this beautiful copy from my favorite local used bookstore pretty recently. It was earlier this year. I'm totally not ashamed to say this was a cover buy. I mean, look at it. I love the clock, and you're not here to feel it, but I love this soft cover. I don't know how to explain it, but it's just so soft and beautiful. The next book I want to talk about is The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. I've also read Final Girls and Lock Every Door, also by Sager, and I enjoyed those books. So I don't have anything against this book. It's just that I started I guess it was either the prologue or the first chapter, and it was told completely in second person. So it felt like I was in the book. It was saying, you walk down the hall and you do this. So it threw me for a loop for just a second. But when the book actually started and the story got going, it was not told from the second person perspective. So I know that it wouldn't be hard to get through. This is the perfect example of a book where I picked it up, read a few chapters, put it down, and then got busy, and then just kept reading whatever else I was reading and never came back to this. It has hit a point where I would need to completely start over, but I don't even have a bookmark in this book, so I don't think I made it that far. This is a mystery thriller about a young woman who has a dark past. I think she has some secrets about a summer camp where she used to work, and I think that this would be really fun to read this summer. Now that it's May, I could really see myself picking this up in June or July. The next book on this list is The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. I was thoroughly enjoying this book too and then put it down. I made it to page 60. My bookmark is still in there. And I am a fan of Kristen Hanna. I have only read The Nightingale, but I want to see more from her. I love this cover. I love the premise of this book. It's about a man who struggles with PTSD after returning from the Vietnam War, and he packs his entire family up, which is just his wife and his daughter. I don't know why I made it sound like a whole crew, but they go to the Alaskan wilderness to live, and once they get up there, it's pretty dangerous. Like, I've already made it to the point in this book where they're in Alaska and they're kind of struggling. The writing is beautiful, and I just don't have a good explanation as to why I didn't finish it. Sometimes I just start a bunch of books at one time and then put it down. So I'm giving this one a rain check. I don't read that much historical fiction, which maybe that's why like the pacing was a little bit slow in the beginning, and I just didn't really see where we were going with this. We already made it up to Alaska within the first 50 pages. I didn't know where it was going to go from there, but obviously I think it's going to channel in on the father's deteriorating mental health, which is one of my very favorite ways to develop a character. So this video was not a good idea because it's making me want to drop everything that I'm currently reading to pick all of these back up, which just isn't possible. So good luck to me. The fourth book I want to talk about is Duma Key by Stephen King. This one gets a lot of hate, but I think that this one is an underrated king. I made it to page 76 of this book, and I remember really enjoying it when I put it down. This book is over 600 pages. Sometimes that can add into me losing motivation to keep going, because I remember reading this book for about a week and only making it this far, which doesn't seem that far for that amount of reading time. But when I picked this book up, I was in between jobs, I was in between states, I was moving around, there was just a lot going on, and this book was feeding into my anxiety. It's about this man who is in this horrible work accident at the beginning of the book, and his mental health deteriorates to a point where his family, like, he makes it really hard for his family to live with him. I'm not defending him and I'm not defending the family, but it's not a straight up case of he's somehow handicapped and the family doesn't want to take care of him. Like, he is kind of morally gray, and I know that he does have a disability, but you do get to see how abusive, like verbally and physically, he is with his wife, and so you get to see both perspectives of their crumbling marriage. I don't know why I decided to go really deep into this one, but it was really sticking with me and making me upset, and I wanted to be happy when I was at that point in my life. So I put this one down, and I think about this book all the time. After this injury, he moves to the beach for physical therapy and mental therapy, and he begins drawing and painting, and then his artwork begins to predict events in his life. So you don't know whether or not his drawings are causing the events, or if he can just like somehow foresee the events and that he doesn't even know about until he starts drawing. So really interesting concept. I don't see this one discussed that much when people are talking about Stephen King. So I'm really interested to see how this wraps up, because everything that I've just told you was covered in not even the first sixth of the book. So we got a long way to go. Last but not least, we have The Silent History. This is written by Eli Horowitz, Matthew Derby, and Kevin Moffat. This is a futuristic science fiction novel where people can be born without the ability to communicate. I don't just mean like they can't talk or they can't write, like they can't do anything. There is no communication, there's no way to get through to them. They have to have special schools where they pretty much just do whatever they want. And this book is told from multiple perspectives of people who have these non-communicators in their lives. So either parents, teachers, like therapists. So I made it to page 204 of this book, which is almost halfway through. And I think the main reason I was able to get this far is because the chapters are so stinking short. They're only a few pages long. Like I said, this is a novel. This is a work of fiction, but it reads a little bit like it could be nonfiction. It feels like just a lot of compiled entries. But what's really cool is there is a through line. Like, these people's lives do overlap eventually, to the point where you can kind of keep track of one narrative, but it's just a lot of work, and I think that's why I put it down. But I will say, I think that it is worth the work and worth the effort. I just need to find the motivation to pick it back up. So those are my 5 most recent rain check reads. Please let me know if you have a similar reading process, because hopefully I'm not the only person who just likes to put books down for an extended period of time, just to pick them back up on a whim. But if I am, it's okay, because it works for me. I'm happy with it, and the system just lets me be the mood reader that I am. Oh, and don't forget about the poll. If you think that there's one of these that I need to get to sooner than the others, I'm really interested in hearing your thoughts. And as always, thank y'all so much for watching. I'll see you next time.